She stood there in her ivory gown, staring at the screen of her phone while 300 guests waited in the chapel below. Her hands were shaking so badly she nearly dropped it. The video played again, the one sent from an unknown number just 8 minutes ago. Her fiancé. Her best friend. A hotel room. That morning, while she was getting her hair done for what was supposed to be the happiest day of her life, they were together. The woman holding her bouquet. The man waiting at the altar. Everyone saw the perfect wedding. Flowers arranged like something out of a magazine. Champagne towers gleaming in the sunlight. But nobody saw what she saw in that 30-second video. Nobody heard her heartbreak in a dressing room on the 3rd floor while her mother adjusted her veil downstairs, smiling and crying happy tears. She whispered to her reflection in the mirror, her voice barely audible. So this is what forever looks like. Before we continue deeper with this story, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're new here, click on the subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Her name was Lauren, 28 years old, a pediatric nurse who worked double shifts to help sick children smile through their pain. She met Marcus 3 years ago when he came into the emergency room with his nephew who had broken his arm. Marcus was different from other men she'd dated, patient when she worked late, thoughtful in ways that made her grandmother say he was a keeper. He'd proposed on a beach at sunset, got down on one knee in the sand while her favorite song played from a speaker he'd hidden in his jacket. She said yes before he could even finish asking. Her bridesmaid, Nicole, had been there that night too. Nicole, who she'd known since middle school, who slept over at her house every Friday for 6 years straight, who held her hand at her father's funeral and promised they'd be friends forever. When Lauren asked her to be maid of honor, Nicole cried and said it was the greatest honor of her life. They planned everything together, the dress fittings, the flower arrangements, the seating chart. Nicole even helped pick out Marcus's wedding band, spent hours with Lauren at the jewelry store saying he's going to love you forever in this one. Looking back now, Lauren could see the small things she'd ignored because love had made her blind. The way Marcus's phone would light up late at night with messages he'd quickly silence. How Nicole suddenly became too busy to hang out alone, always suggesting group activities instead. The strange afternoon last month when she'd stopped by Marcus's apartment unannounced and found Nicole's car parked down the street, though Nicole swore she was at her mother's house that day. Love has this way of turning smart women into willing believers of beautiful lies. Lauren had painted over every red flag with trust, convinced herself that doubt was just wedding stress and cold feet talking. She told herself that Marcus loved her, that Nicole was her sister and everything but blood, that nothing could be wrong because everything felt so right. But here she was now, sitting in a room full of white roses and dreams turned to ash, watching proof that forever was a word that meant nothing at all. The video was clear. Timestamp showed 7:42 that morning. She had been at the salon at 7:42, laughing with her cousins while the stylist curled her hair. The video showed a hotel room she recognized, the Grandview Inn, the same place where Marcus said he'd spent last night for the bachelor party. But this wasn't a bachelor party. This was her fiancé and her best friend tangled in hotel sheets, his hand in her hair, her laugh that Lauren knew by heart. Whoever sent it had written only one line. "You deserve to know before you say I do." No name, no explanation, just truth delivered like a bomb with a timer counting down. Lauren's cousin Madison burst into the room, still unaware, saying it was time to walk down the aisle. She saw Lauren's face and froze. What happened? What's wrong? Lauren handed her the phone without saying a word. Madison watched, her expression changing from confusion to horror to rage in the span of 30 seconds. "Oh my God. Lauren, I'm so sorry. We need to call this off right now." But Lauren didn't cry. She didn't scream. She sat very still. And when she finally spoke, her voice was calm in a way that frightened Madison more than tears would have. "No. The wedding is going to happen exactly as planned." Madison stared at her like she'd lost her mind. "What are you talking about? You can't marry him after this. Lauren, he's downstairs right now pretending like nothing happened." Lauren stood up, smoothed down her dress, checked her makeup in the mirror. A woman she barely recognized stared back, mascara perfect, lipstick like blood on porcelain. "I'm not canceling anything. I'm not hiding. And I'm not letting them think they got away with this." She picked up her phone, dialed Marcus. He answered on the second ring. Voice warm and sweet like honey that was actually poison. Hey baby, you almost ready? Everyone's waiting to see you. She closed her eyes, steadied herself. I'm ready. Don't worry, everything is perfect. I'll be down in 5 minutes. When she hung up, Madison grabbed her arm. What are you going to do? Lauren looked at her, and for the first time since opening that video, she smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had just made a decision that would change everything. I'm going to give everyone a wedding they'll never forget. The chapel was breathtaking, exactly how she'd imagined it. Candles lined the aisle, white roses everywhere, sunlight pouring through stained glass windows painting rainbow patterns on the stone floor. 300 people sat in wooden pews. Her mother in the front row wiping tears with a handkerchief, Marcus's parents proud and smiling. At the altar stood Marcus in his tailored suit, looking like every dream she'd ever had. Next to him the groomsmen. Next to her empty space at the front, the bridesmaids in their lavender dresses. Nicole stood there holding Lauren's bouquet, the one she was supposed to carry back down the aisle as a married woman. Nicole's smile seemed nervous, her eyes darting toward the entrance every few seconds. Did she know? Did she suspect that maybe somehow the truth had come out? The music began, that classic wedding march everyone knows. Lauren's uncle offered his arm to walk her down the aisle since her father had passed. She took it, held her head high, and stepped into view. The crowd gasped, not because anything was wrong, but because she looked stunning, because she looked exactly like a bride should look, radiant and glowing and perfect. She walked slowly, each step measured. Her eyes locked on Marcus. He was smiling at her. That smile she used to love. The one that made her feel safe. She wondered if that smile was real or if it had always been a mask, if she'd ever really known him at all. When she reached the altar, Marcus took her hands. His palms were warm. She could feel his pulse steady and calm. The pastor opened his Bible, began the familiar words. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to witness the union of Marcus and Lauren in holy matrimony. Lauren barely heard him. Her mind was racing. Her heart pounding so hard she thought everyone must hear it. She glanced at Nicole, who wouldn't meet her eyes. Guilt, Lauren thought. That's what guilt looks like on someone's face. The pastor continued, talking about love and commitment and promises made before God. Finally, he turned to Marcus. Marcus, do you take Lauren to be your lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold in sickness and in health, for richer or poorer, until death do you part? Marcus squeezed her hands, looked into her eyes with what seemed like genuine love. Ido. The chapel erupted in soft applause. The pastor turned to Lauren. And do you, Lauren, take Marcus to be your lawfully wedded husband, to have and to hold, in sickness and in health, for richer or poorer, until death do you part? Every eye in the room was on her. This was the moment. The moment she should say I do, the moment she should become his wife, the moment 3 years of her life were supposed to lead to. Instead, she let go of his hands. Before I answer that, there's something I need everyone to see. Confusion rippled through the crowd. Marcus's smile faltered. Lauren, what are you doing? She gestured to Madison, who had been waiting in the back. Madison hurried forward with a tablet and a portable projector they'd set up in the past 5 minutes. Within seconds, the white wall behind the altar became a screen. I received something this morning, Lauren said, her voice clear and steady, projecting to every corner of the chapel. Something I think you should all see before I make this commitment. She nodded to Madison. The video played. The hotel room. Marcus and Nicole. The timestamp clear in the corner. Gasps erupted like thunder. Someone screamed. Marcus's face went white as paper. Nicole dropped the bouquet, flowers scattering across the floor like evidence of something beautiful destroyed. What the hell is this? Marcus grabbed for the tablet, but Madison stepped back. This is the truth, Lauren said. Her voice didn't shake. She felt eerily calm, like she was watching this happen to someone else. This video was taken this morning at 7:42 while I was getting ready to marry you. While I was thinking about our future, you were in a hotel room with my best friend. The chapel exploded into chaos. Marcus's mother stood up, shouting, demanding to know what kind of sick joke this was. Lauren's mother was crying. Not happy tears anymore, but tears of shock and heartbreak for her daughter. Nicole tried to run, but her own mother caught her arm, holding her there while demanding an explanation. Marcus reached for Lauren. "Baby, please let me explain, this isn't what it looks like." She stepped back, away from his touch. "It's exactly what it looks like. I loved you. I trusted both of you with everything I had. And you destroyed it." She turned to face the crowd, all those people who had come to celebrate a love that never really existed. "I'm sorry you all came here for a wedding. I'm sorry for wasting your time. But I'm not sorry for refusing to marry a man who doesn't respect me enough to be faithful on the morning of our wedding day." Her voice cracked just slightly on those last words, the only sign that beneath the calm surface, she was breaking into 1,000 pieces. Marcus tried again, desperation making his voice sharp. "Lauren, please, we can talk about this, we can work through this." She looked at him, really looked at him, and saw a stranger. "No, we can't. Because I deserve better than someone who would do this to me. I deserve better than someone who would betray me with my best friend. I deserve better than you." She pulled the engagement ring off her finger, the diamond he'd picked out, the symbol of promises he'd already broken. She placed it on the altar, right there in front of God and everyone. Then she turned and walked back down the aisle, head high, shoulders straight, leaving behind the man who didn't deserve her, and the wedding that was never meant to be. The guests parted like water, some crying, some applauding, some just standing there in shock. Madison followed her, and so did her mother, and then her cousins and her real friends, the ones who loved her enough to walk away from the wreckage with her. Outside the chapel, Lauren finally let herself cry, but they weren't weak tears. They were tears of freedom, of relief, of a woman who had chosen herself when it mattered most. News of what happened spread like wildfire. By that evening, the story was everywhere on local social media, people calling her brave and strong in everything she didn't feel in the moment, but knew she'd eventually become. The wedding venue tried to give her a refund, but Lauren had a different idea. "Keep the deposit," she told them. "But I want you to donate all the food to the homeless shelter downtown. And the flowers, send them to the hospital where I work. Let something good come from this." The catering company was shocked. The florist was in tears. Everyone who heard about it said it was the most graceful response they'd ever seen to such a betrayal. In the days that followed, Lauren learned that Marcus and Nicole had been involved for over 6 months, sneaking around behind her back while helping her plan a wedding that was built on lies. Other people started coming forward, friends who had suspected but didn't know how to tell her, co-workers of Marcus who had seen him with Nicole at restaurants across town. The betrayal went deeper than one morning, deeper than one video. It had been there all along, and she'd been too in love to see it. 2 weeks later, Nicole tried to apologize. She showed up at Lauren's apartment with tears streaming down her face, begging for forgiveness, saying it was a mistake and she never meant to hurt her. Lauren listened, standing in her doorway, and when Nicole finished talking, she said something that surprised them both. "Thank you." Nicole blinked. "What?" Lauren smiled, and this time it was real. "Thank you for showing me who you really are before I wasted any more years on a friendship that was a lie. Thank you for helping me dodge the biggest mistake of my life. Thank you for being exactly who you are, because it set me free." She closed the door, and that was the last time they spoke. Marcus tried reaching out too. Endless texts and calls saying he made a mistake, that he loved her, that they could start over. Lauren blocked his number after sending one final message. "You didn't make a mistake. You made a choice. And I'm making mine. Don't contact me again." 6 months passed. Lauren threw herself into her work, spent time with her family, started seeing a therapist to work through the betrayal, and rebuild her trust in people. Slowly, the pain faded from something sharp and constant to something manageable. A scar instead of an open wound. She started going out with friends again, laughing again, believing again that maybe good things were still possible. One Saturday afternoon, she was at a coffee shop when a man approached her table. "Excuse me, I don't mean to bother you, but aren't you the woman from that wedding? The one who walked away?" Lauren tensed, expecting judgment or gossip or pity. But the man's expression was kind. "I just wanted to say thank you. My sister was in an abusive relationship, And she saw your story and it gave her the courage to leave. You saved her life by showing her it's possible to choose yourself. Lauren felt tears spring to her eyes. I'm glad she got out. Tell her I'm proud of her. The man nodded, smiled and walked away. That's when Lauren realized something important. Her pain had purpose. Her story had power. By refusing to hide her humiliation, by standing up in that chapel and telling the truth, she'd given other women permission to do the same. Now, almost a year later, Lauren runs a support group for women dealing with betrayal and broken engagements. She helps them navigate the grief and anger and confusion that comes with loving someone who didn't deserve it. She tells them the same thing someone told her in those dark early days, that healing isn't linear, that some days you'll feel strong and some days you'll feel shattered, and both are okay. She tells them that choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. She tells them that walking away from something that hurts you isn't giving up, it's growing up. And she tells them what she learned in that chapel, standing at an altar in a wedding dress with her heart in pieces. That sometimes the bravest thing you can do is say no to a future that will destroy you, even when everyone is watching and waiting for you to say yes. Lauren is single now, taking time to heal and rediscover who she is without someone else defining her worth. She's happy in a way she never was with Marcus. Content in a way that comes from knowing she can trust herself to make the right choice even when it's the hardest one. What would you have done if you were Lauren? Would you have canceled the wedding the moment you saw that video? Or would you have done what she did and exposed the truth in front of everyone? Could you have walked down that aisle knowing what waited for you at the end? And here's the bigger question that maybe hits even harder. How many of us are ignoring the signs right now because we're afraid of the pain that comes with facing the truth? Lauren's story isn't just about a cheating fiancé and a betraying friend. It's about the courage it takes to value yourself more than you value other people's expectations. It's about choosing dignity over desperation, truth over temporary comfort. She could have married him, pretended she never saw that video, spent years wondering if he was faithful while slowly losing herself in a marriage built on lies. Instead, she chose freedom. She chose herself. And in doing that, she gave all of us permission to do the same. If this story touched something in you, if it made you think about your own life or someone you love who needs to hear it, share it with them. Share it with anyone who needs the reminder that walking away from what hurts you isn't weakness, it's wisdom. And if you're facing your own version of Lauren's moment right now, standing at your own altar wondering if you should say I do to something that feels wrong, remember this. You are worth more than a lie dressed up in a wedding gown. You are worth more than someone who would betray you and expect you to smile through it. You are worth the kind of love that doesn't make you question your worth. Choose yourself. Every single time. That's what real love looks like. The love you give yourself when no one else will.